You don't need to wait for a teacher to guide you every step of the way. Start practicing from the moment you wake up. Maintain awareness of your body and mind throughout the day. If your mind becomes too distracted and you can't observe the body or the mind, practice tranquility meditation. For example, mentally recite Bud, Do. Breathe in with Bud, breathe out with Do. Use any technique that suits you. Choose a meditation object to anchor the mind. However, don't aim for happiness or tranquility. If you crave happiness or tranquility, the mind will become restless with greed. Simply give the mind a place to rest, such as focusing on Buddho or the breath. Once the mind has gained strength, return to learning the truth of the body and mind. If you can observe the mind, then do so. If not, observe the body. The body is like a house, and the mind is the house's owner. If we want to meet the owner, but we haven't found the owner yet, we should keep watch over the house. By being aware of the body, we will eventually encounter the mind. Old masters often say, if you can observe the mind, observe the mind. If you can't, observe the body. If observing the body is also difficult, practice calmness meditation to settle the mind. The purpose of calmness meditation is to build strength, which enables us to observe the body and the mind. Observing the body allows us to understand the mind. Observing the mind allows us to realize the Dhamma. The Dhamma arises in the mind itself. All wholesome, kusala, and unwholesome, akusala, states, as well as the path and its fruition, occur in the mind. Even nirvana is directly realized by the mind. The mind is the foundation and the leader of all Dhamma. As Luangpu Man once taught, to attain the mind is to attain the Dhamma. To lose the mind is to lose the Dhamma. Without the mind, there can be no progress, neither in calmness meditation, samatha, nor insight meditation, vipassana. When the mind stays grounded within the body, calmness arises. When the mind sees the truth of the body and mind, it observes and understands them clearly. The mind becomes the watcher, the knower, and the one that perceives. As it continuously witnesses the reality of form and mental phenomena, wisdom will naturally unfold. At first, you might notice only coarse phenomena. Some people need to start by observing the body because they cannot yet observe the mind. For example, right now, your body is sitting. It's here and hasn't disappeared, but the mind often disappears, wandering off frequently. If you don't yet have the strength to observe the mind, observe the body. As your body sits here, simply notice it. Be aware that the body is sitting. Don't fixate or concentrate too intensely. Avoid over-focusing. Just feel it naturally. The body is breathing. It is the mind that knows. When the body stands, walks, sits, or lies down, it is the mind that knows. When the body moves or stays still, it is the mind that knows. That is how you observe the body. Try smiling. Just smile. Notice how the mind is aware of the smile. Do you feel it? The face is smiling. This is the kind of awareness we cultivate. There's no need to get overly formal or deliberate thinking, I'm going to do my practice now. I'm smiling. That's unnecessary. Similarly, when we laugh, the body laughs and the mind knows it. Observe with a relaxed, natural mind. When the mind is at ease and in its natural state, concentration, samadhi, arises on its own. Joy is a proximate cause for concentration. Observe just so consistently, you will gradually come to see the truth, that this body is constantly moving and changing. At one moment, it breathes in. At another, it breathes out. Sometimes it stands, walks, sits, or lies down, itches, moves, or remains still. It is always changing. Gradually, you will see the truth that the body is impermanent, anicca. Some may even come to realize that the body is not me or mine. The body is just an object, a material phenomenon, something that is observed. Who is the one observing? It is the mind that knows. If the mind does not become the knower mind, it means you are not properly trained in mental discipline, citta sikka. First comes moral discipline, sila sikka, then mental discipline, citta sikka, and finally wisdom training, panya sikka. Mental training continues until you develop the mind that knows, a stable and knower mind. Many people oversimplify and misunderstand. They think mental training is just sitting meditation, so they focus solely on achieving stillness. Others overthink and overanalyze, relying heavily on theoretical study. They argue that concentration, samadhi, arises naturally in every state of mind, so there is no need to practice. It is true that some form of concentration accompanies every state of mind, but that is ordinary concentration. The concentration we aim to develop is right concentration, samma samadhi, where the mind becomes stable, fully aware, and luminous, a mind that is knowing, awakened, and joyful. The way to cultivate the knower mind, a mind that is awakened and joyful, is by recognizing when the mind becomes the thinker, the imaginer, the fabricator, and when the mind drifts off. The moment you become aware of the mind engaging in these roles, the knower mind will naturally arise. The knower mind arises without intentional effort. It is a mind that is awakened, alert, and joyful, not dull or passive. It is aware with clarity and energy. The discipline of citta sikka, training the mind, helps us to develop the knower mind. Once you have attained this knower mind, don't just sit idly by. Some people misunderstand. They come to learn from me, listen for a bit, and then claim, Luangpu just says to stay aware and do nothing. I've never taught that. When you attain the knower mind, use it to learn the truth of rupa and nama, the body and mind. Let the body do its work. Let the mind do its work. Isn't the body always working? Does the heart beat? Does the breath flow? Observe these processes. You will see that they function on their own. They are not you. They are constantly changing, impermanent, and incapable of remaining in any one state. The heart beats on and on. The lungs keep breathing. The body keeps moving here and there. Everything is impermanent, incapable of enduring in a fixed state. It is beyond our control. Try ordering your body not to breathe. Can you do it? Hold your breath and see if you can make yourself die. It's impossible. No one can hold their breath and die. If you hold it long enough, you'll lose consciousness and the body will start breathing on its own again. The body doesn't follow your commands. What about ordering your heart to stop beating? Can you do that? You can't. Can you order your body not to move at all? You might intentionally force yourself to stay still, but eventually the body will move. It cannot remain perfectly still. If the body doesn't move, it'll be crushed by suffering to the point of breaking down. It will be overwhelmed by suffering until it deteriorates and disintegrates. For instance, a paralyzed person who cannot move eventually suffers from bed sores, tissue decay, and bodily breakdown. The body must move. It moves to escape suffering. Notice this. Why do we breathe in and then breathe out? If you only breathe in, it becomes uncomfortable. So you breathe out to escape that discomfort. If you only breathe out, you will feel discomfort again. So you breathe in to escape it. The body constantly moves, standing, walking, sitting, lying down, breathing. Each one to evade suffering. Why do we need to change positions? Standing, walking, sitting, lying down. Staying in one posture for too long causes discomfort, so we change postures. All movement and change are driven by the desire to escape suffering. However, if we cultivate mindfulness and wisdom by staying aware of the body, we will come to see that this body is subject to suffering in every posture. It suffers in every breath, whether breathing in or out. This is the truth of the body. When we see this truth, our attachment to the body gradually lessens. In the end, we can no longer cling to it. Why hold on to it? It is a source of suffering, not something inherently good. There is no reason to cherish or cling to it. This is the development of wisdom. By observing reality as it is, the mind eventually realizes that this body is a source of suffering. It is merely a collection of material elements, a mass of borrowed earth, water, fire, and air. The air we breathe in and out belongs to the world, not to us. It is not truly ours. The food we eat, which we later excrete, is also just material from the world. We borrow these elements to sustain the body, but they are not us, nor do they truly belong to us. This understanding is what we call seeing anatta, the nature of not self. When the mind becomes the knower, turn the awareness to observe the body. You'll begin to see that the body is filled with suffering. It is impermanent and not self, anicca, dukkha, anatta. If you observe continuously, the suffering aspect becomes especially apparent. If your observation is brief or intermittent, you may primarily notice the impermanence, anicca. For example, breathing in and out is a constant process of change. But if you continue to observe over a longer period, you will see that even breathing exists to alleviate suffering. Changing postures is to escape discomfort. Moving or remaining still is to avoid suffering. When you walk for too long, don't you get tired? And when you're tired, you stop walking. Even constant movement brings suffering. But if you stay still for too long, discomfort arises again. Even sitting still leads us to pain. Suffering oppresses us continuously. Yet we remain attached to and infatuated with this body, even though it is the very embodiment of suffering. If you maintain mindfulness with a stable mind as the knower and observer, consistently aware of the body, you will notice that, in short, the body is impermanent, always moving and changing. If you observe longer, you will realize that all movement is an attempt to escape suffering. Keep observing, and you will come to understand that the body is not you. It is merely a collection of worldly elements borrowed from the earth. One day, it must be returned to the earth. You will see this truth clearly.